let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. What up? Let's do a update video. Now I do these every once in a while to show you what I picked up, or if I have any news on collecting DC action figures, news from McFarlane, or even news just with anything to do with the action figure community. Now, it's been kind of slow. I haven't really picked up a lot of stuff. I do have some key things that I was looking for, and I found a couple of things in the wild. Not really any classic stuff, although you do know I do enjoy a lot of the older 6-inch DC figures. I basically have a lot of the stuff that I've ever wanted, so it's real rare for me to find something for a good price that I want to pick up, but I'm always out there looking in the aftermarket for some old school classic DC figures. So this time it's going to be a lot of McFarlane DC Multiverse. But another thing I want to talk about is, of course, I have quietly reached 3,000 subscribers. Now, anybody that follows me or watches me knows that I like to keep things in the underground. Not really like to make a lot of noise. I am not monetized. I do not make money from these videos. I actually spend money, but I do it more for the passion of collecting. I actually have a lot of fun, and this is a great outlet for me. I love hunting figures, I love collecting, and I love customizing figures. So I basically do this for you guys, but at the same time, it does give me an outlet for my creative process, and I have a lot of fun doing it, so it's all good. Thank you to everybody that watches me, sub to me. I never ask anybody to subscribe. I never, dream of having a huge channel where I'm making, money out of it. It does not really matter to me. Now, if that's what you do, that's fine. I actually support everybody that wants to get into making videos and stuff. It's awesome for me. That's more people to watch because I actually watch a lot of smaller channels. But a big appreciation and thank you to everybody that comments and watches me and follows me. It's actually been an awesome ride. Now, with that, we do want to get into some McFarlane news. Now, a couple of things from McFarlane. First off, I want to talk about the New York Comic Con. Now, I did hear a little song from a bird, and they did say that McFarlane was asked, and that we do know that the Dune figures that are coming out, some do have wired capes. Now, McFarlane was asked if this means that we could be seeing this in other lines that he has, and he said yes, of course. This is sort of a little run to see how it works before they move it on to any other lines that he has. Now, of course, that means DC Direct, DC Multiverse, Page Punchers. All of these lines could eventually see some sort of wired cape. Once they take care of the bugs and everything and how to make cloth wired capes, I'm pretty sure they will move forward with using them in other lines. Now, everybody knows I'm not a big fan of cloth goods in any form, capes, jackets, pants. I just think that they're a bad scale, like 6-7 inches, a bad scale to use cloth materials. But if it is executed nicely, I will admit that it does look pretty good. Now, actually, for me, it doesn't really matter. The way a figure is released, I will accept it and appreciate it for what it is. So it's not a big deal to me. I do like plastic. I do like cloth. I prefer soft plastic, which is pliable. That's my favorite form of cape for this scale of action figure. But if they do use cloth, it's okay to me. It doesn't really matter, but I know a lot of people actually prefer cloth capes, and that attracts more buyers. And that in the end is what I want to make this line keep going and going. Now, another thing we have seen is another rumor list. Now, of course, these are rumors. We're not exactly sure how they will be executed or the way the characters will look, the final form that the figures will actually take, but these are rumors. Now, some of the stuff I'm not too interested in is like superpowers. I did see they had a Hal Jordan for the superpowers line, a Super Friend Sinestro, Batman Zerina, a Lord Superman, which we do not know what form this will take. And lastly, McFarlane will begin to make some gold variants of these figures. Now, of course, that's not for everybody. If you come across gold variants of superpowers, you may want them, you may not. But it's all up to you if you want to buy them. So that's pretty cool for those who are into superpowers. Of course, I'm not really into smaller figures. Another thing was the DC Direct Batman, the animated series figures. Now, this was, I think it was Batman, Two-Face, Batgirl. But what I was really interested in was the Killer Croc and Baby Doll. Now, I know these have been released before by other companies. And of course, remember, this is run by McFarlane, but under the DC Direct banner. But I'd be pretty interested to see the way the final form of these figures will be. Pretty interesting. I mean, I don't collect this line, but I am happy for those people that do and get to expand their line. So that's pretty awesome. Now, finally, we get into the meat and potatoes of what I like, and that is 7-inch figures. Now, these are basically going to be DC Multiverse, but in the end, we're not sure. Now, first up, we do have a rumor of one more figure to add to your DC versus Vampire collection, and that is going to be Damian Wayne. Now, we do not know what form this will take, but it will be a vampiric version of Damian Wayne. I just recently did the review of the Green Lantern one, and I thought it was pretty awesome. Pretty happy to see the undead army grow. So maybe eventually we can amass a large vampire army. So that's good to hear. Now another one is we're going to have another version of Owlman. This is going to be the Forever Evil version. So I'm not sure. These images are just a reference of what we may get in action figure form, but I'm hyped up for that. Now next we do have the continuation of more Nightfall figures. This one is going to be Nightwing from Nightfall. But once again, we don't know if this will be a completely new figure with new sculpt or it's going to be reused. We're not sure. We're going to have to wait and find out. But I know a lot of people are happy to just see this name floating around, that we'll get a Nightfall version of Dick Grayson. Now up next, we do have some cool classic characters that I know a lot of people have been clamoring for. Now I have actually seen this name coming up next before in the comments, and that is Red Tornado. Awesome android figure. He does go back a long time in the history of DC Comics. We have seen figures released of him before, so hopefully everyone will be happy with this gold label version of the android Red Tornado. We do not know what iteration it will be, but hopefully everyone will be pleased. And once again, in the classic obscure characters, we have Animal Man. Now, I really love the DC Universe Classics version of Animal Man. I have that one, and I'd really like to see McFarlane's take on this character, adding a little bit of, flavor that he does with the sculpt and the intricate detail work. But hopefully he does give him clear goggles, which I think McFarlane is lacking in. He should use a lot more transparent goggles for the characters. But really happy about that Animal Man. Going to be pretty cool to add to the collection. And that will be another gold label version. Now we'll get into some Superman. Now we have received images of Steel, so we basically know what he's going to look like. Not a big fan of the dull gray plastic that they use. Hopefully in the future we could get a more shinier version of Steel. But we have received promo images of him, and they should all be coming out at around the same time. We also have a 2-pack of Bizarro and Bat-Zorro. Now, really interested to see the Bat-Zorro. This, of course, will probably be a completely new sculpt design, and it's really in the wheelhouse of McFarlane to do some creepy figures. Now, the Bizarro, I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be the old classic colors. I do have my version of Bizarro, my custom that I did. Because we have received that original Bizarro figure, but I wanted him more in a classic color scheme. So maybe this will be the road that McFarlane takes, but we still have to wait and see what it will be. And finally, what I'm really anticipating, because this is pretty much our final light at the end of the tunnel to move off of that infected body and get a new book. Now this is marked down as a classic Superman. We do not know what it'll be. Will it be a mullet version? Because we do have another rumor about a Reign of Superman 5-pack. Will it be a new body without any sculpting lines and better proportions than the infected body? We have yet to wait and see, but fingers crossed. This is a new Superman body. He may reuse parts from old Superman. We don't know, and that is and that is what we have to wait and see. But it is listed as a classic Superman, so keep your fingers crossed that it is something that everybody enjoys. So that's it. Let's finally get into what I have picked up. As I said, pure DC Multiverse this time, but some cool pieces, and really want to go ahead and get some of these into the collection. Now, first of all, one day I went to one Walmart and I found this gold label Ra's al Ghul. Now, I only have the Batman from this little series of figures. They're like a sort of grayish toned figures. Now, on the same day that I bought this one, I actually went to another Walmart and found Penguin. Now, I did find these in the, collector's little aisle that's by the movies. They were not in the regular toy aisle. So I was pretty happy to come across these so that I do not have to go on the aftermarket and hunt them down. So now I am only missing Catwoman, and I'll have this little set to add to my collection. So that's pretty cool. And up next, I did get this from, what is it, CMD store from Canada. Now this was $60. But this is going for a lot more online. This is the San Diego Comic-Con Nightfall Batman from McFarlane. Little color changes. I'm actually really happy with just the standard version of Nightfall. He's not my favorite Batman. Of course, my favorite Batman is the Hush Batman, because I think Batman should be a taller figure, and this figure for me is a little on the shrimpy side. But if everybody likes them, that's fine. That's not a big deal to me. I will not be opening this up at first. What I will do is actually hold off. And eventually, I hope to find one cheap, open, or this may be years down the line. I have lots of patience. I've collected before. That is how I collected the entire run of DC Universe Classics. So this isn't my first rodeo. Love adding this to the collection. My rule is that I must have at least one of all figures released by McFarlane. So if I have one and I don't open it, that's fine with me. That is usually how I treat the platinum versions that McFarlane releases. But pretty happy to add this one to the collection. Now, speaking of platinums, we all know that I ordered a first appearance Superman from Best Buy, and they actually sent me the platinum version. Now, at first, these were really hard to come by. The price is slowly going down, but they're still asking at least double or triple the retail price for these, especially for this platinum. Now, what I did is right away, I turned around and made two more orders. One was an Alan Scott Green Lantern. Now, I already opened this and reviewed it, so this one will actually go into my mint in-box collection. But I actually ordered two figures, this one and another Superman. And what do you know? They did send me another platinum. Now, this was from Best Buy. That was pretty cool. And right away, I ordered another two figures. Now, this time I did not get lucky. I did just get the standard version of Superman. But I actually need that one to go into my mint in box collection. But I did order with this one an Abyss, and they did send me the platinum version. Now, the Abyss I can actually wait on. I do have one that I haven't even opened or taken a look at, which is the standard version. So eventually I know I'll be able to get him at a cheaper price to keep in box. But pretty cool they sent me this. Now, this is how my rule works. If I get a platinum, I usually leave it in box and just add it to the collection. But if I ever come across a cheap one or find one in the wild, I'll buy another one to have it open on the shelf. It just all depends. Now, I don't get stressed out if I don't find a version. I don't have to be the first person to review it. I don't have to be the first person to own it. If I am, or I get lucky, that's fine, but it's not a big deal to me. So pretty happy to add these. Big shout out to Best Buy. That's a good place to get some figures. They have a small selection, but sometimes they do have what you want. So that's where I got these from. And then finally, this will be my last thing. This is going to be something that I have been waiting for a long time. Now, when the Flash Batmobile was released, I did not actively pursue it. I wasn't really worried about not finding it. I knew eventually I would pick it up. It's not a big deal to me. So I actually bought this for $68. And I know that the new Batmobile came out. And that's basically why I held off on the Flash one. People act like it's going to be the end of the world if they don't get a vehicle or a figure. I don't. I just, kick my heels up and relax and wait. So I bought this for $68, which is basically retail for the Batmobile. And what's cool about this is that it's in pristine condition, the guy said. Perfect, like new Batmobile, basically for retail price. And what's cool is they did put in a Michael Keaton Batman. So I'm actually getting a good deal here because up above me I have my Batwing and he has a Keaton figure inside. I have one mint in box in my collection, and I actually have a Keaton up there just on the regular standard shelf. So of course I wanted one to display with my Batmobile. That's just one of my collecting habits. And I got one basically for free because of course this is $60 retail, so this was just thrown in there, and now I actually have a cool set. You do have the gray canopy that people were complaining about, but it's not a big deal to me. I'm actually probably just going to leave it the way it is and display it up on the wall with the rest of the vehicles that I have. But this is what I always say: patience is a virtue. Don't get too excited. Don't pay too much for figures. Eventually you'll get them in your collection. I've been collecting so long that I've learned a lot of little tricks of the trade to how eventually fill out your collection. So be patient. Nothing is that important, especially when we're talking about action figures. But one thing I will say is keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.